20 minutes, I'm going to talk about the ROI of content marketing. And this is such a big topic that 20 minutes is not enough, so there won't be any lengthy introductions. Let's dive right in. The other day, I asked the question on Twitter, basically while preparing for this talk, to see how many people measure the ROI of their content marketing efforts and how many people don't. What's interesting is that it was only 50-50 split. It's almost as if there are two schools of thought, some people who do measure the ROI and some who don't. But the interesting part is people who answered yes. Because I'm personally not quite sure that what they're measuring is ROI. And I'm going to explain why. So in simple terms, ROI is basically the value that you get from your investment minus the cost of that investment, right? Pretty simple. So cost of investment in content marketing is basically cost of creating a piece of content. It's also cost of promoting it, but that's a little bit different. I'm trying to simplify things here a bit. So how do we measure the cost of creating a piece of content? It can actually be a little bit tricky. For example, at Ahrefs blog, a piece of content goes through 7 different steps before it gets published on our blog. And what's interesting is that different people, and sometimes multiple people, are involved in each step. So if we take any specific piece of content, calculating how much it cost us would be quite tricky. But we can still use averages. We can take monthly salaries of people who were involved and the monthly output, and we'll get like an average price of a piece of content on our blog. So in the end, the cost of investment, the cost of creating a piece of content is possible to calculate, and oftentimes it's fairly easy. How about the value of investment? The value of investment in content is the value of leads, conversions, and sales. That is the value you get from content, right? Well, here at Ahrefs, in our own company, we think that the leads, conversions, and sales that you get from your content is just the tip of the iceberg. There's more to it than that. For example, what you get from your content are things like retention, reactivation, and revenue expansion. Let me explain them real quick. Retention. When your existing customers of your software read content about how your product helps them solve a certain problem, they learn to use it better, so they stay longer. They are more successful with the product, they stay longer. Reactivation. When the past customers of your software who canceled it like a year or 2 years ago read your content, they might learn about new features and new functionality that wasn't available before when they were a customer and when they canceled. So this helps you reactivate them without any special reactivation campaigns, just by publishing new content and promoting the new functionality of your product. Revenue expansion, also pretty simple. When your existing customers from your content learn about the features that are not available on their plans, or for example, if you help them to be more successful and hire more people to their teams, they would upgrade to higher accounts, which is revenue expansion. But as you can see, the iceberg doesn't end there. There are also things like word of mouth, brand awareness, and all that. So let me comment on each of them real quick. Word of mouth. This is an incredibly good driver of customers, as I'm sure anyone in SaaS knows. When people are successful with your product, they will tell about it to other people. But you can fuel this word of mouth by giving people the talking points. What is great about your product? What kind of problems it helps you solve? How to be successful with it? By creating educational content, content about your industry, about your product, you're fueling the word of mouth. Brand awareness. Well, this is very simple. The more people search for information in your industry and see your content that is published by your brand, by people that belong to your company, the more brand awareness you get. Paid acquisition. Usually, marketers create dedicated landing pages to target different keywords in Google or to target or to run Facebook ads and such. But, for example, in our company, we promote our content in Google, on Facebook, because every single article is basically a hyper-targeted sales page for our product based on a specific topic that people are reading about. Thought leadership. People want to buy things from experts, from people who know what they're doing. So by publishing educational content and positioning yourself as a thought leader in the field, as someone who knows what they're doing, you also attract more customers. Hiring and onboarding. Again, the brand awareness, the information about your product, it helps more people learn about what you're doing and if they want to be a part of it, whether as marketers, sales, customer support, or even engineers. Onboarding. In our company, we have content that we created for our customers, but even our engineers go through this content to better understand the product that they're working on. And finally, customer support. The more your customers self-educate themselves from your content, the less questions they ask to customer support. And our company is a great testament to that because of the sheer amount of educational content that we have created on our blog, on our YouTube channel, in our academy. We have over 50,000 paying customers, and I believe hundreds of thousands of people who are using our software for free. And all of these people can use the chat function on our website, whether they are free account, paid account, doesn't matter. And we only have about a dozen people in our customer support. So you can tell we're incredibly efficient to be able to serve hundreds of thousands of customers. And that's because people self-educate themselves using our content. So that's the iceberg of how we think about the value of content. And my formula suddenly looks more like this. Can you measure the value of investment? We just discussed that the cost of creating a piece of content is fairly easy to measure, but what about all that value that content brings you? Let's see. Value of leads, conversions, and sales. I say it's somewhat measurable, and we're going to get into this real soon. Retention, reactivation, and revenue expansion. Well, you have to have really sophisticated tracking models to be able to attribute those things properly. Word of mouth, brand awareness, paid acquisition, good luck measuring those guys. So I don't think you can measure the value of investment because content just has so many good things that it does for your company. But let's discuss the value of leads, conversions, and sales and why I think that is only somewhat measurable, that is still hard to measure. So what's important to point out is that content is not just blog articles. I asked another question on Twitter to see what kind of educational content people prefer. Of course, blog articles are still trending high, but then YouTube videos are also very popular. Podcasts, courses, and Twitter only has 4 options for a poll, so things like webinars or even talks like this one could not be included. And still, blog articles. Can you measure leads, conversions, and sales from blog articles? I say it's possible to a degree. I'm sure if you studied attribution, you came across 6 different attribution models, and depending on the nature of your business or how you want to track your marketing efforts, one of these models can do the job for you. So tracking leads and conversions from your articles is fairly possible. YouTube videos. Let's discuss this one. That's still content. So at Ahrefs, we have a fairly popular YouTube channel. I mean, 300 and almost 50 subscribers, and we are not a food blog, we are not a travel blog, we talk about SEO, so that's a very narrow topic, and I believe we have some nice results with it. But we have absolutely no idea how many customers this YouTube channel sent us. The only way we know that our YouTube content is bringing us leads is by this account registration form that we have in Ahrefs. So whenever a new customer signs up, we have a field asking them how did they learn about us. And luckily, because our audience is other marketers, they are usually quite happy to give us feedback and help us figure out how our marketing works. And all the replies to this form are sent to a channel in our company Slack, so we can actually see what people reply almost in real time. And you can see some of them mention YouTube as a place where they first heard about our company. And if we do a search for just the word YouTube without mentioning anything more specific, we get at least 30,000 messages. This is how we know that YouTube does bring leads to us. But it's not very scientific, isn't it? And yet, it's the only way we can know this, because when we try to research if there's any good attribution for YouTube, like when a person watched the video or like watched half of the video or something like that, can we see them later in our CRM? No, we didn't find any good attribution model for YouTube videos. Podcasts. That's also a very interesting thing, because lots of companies these days have their own podcasts, or they appear as guests on other podcasts, or they do sponsorship. So we have a very nice article on our blog where we talk about our experience sponsoring podcasts. And it first started from an experiment back in, I think, 2016 or 17, I don't quite remember, but we sponsored 5 podcasts. We spent a total of $14,000 on that, and we did it by the book. We created a special landing page on our website. We had a discount, special offer, 30% off, and I have to mention that we never do discounts. So this was quite unique for us. We never did them before or after this experiment. So after sponsoring 5 podcasts, with that dedicated landing page where we could track visits, and with a discount that should bring people in because we don't really do discounts, the results were quite mediocre. We had like slightly over 300 page views and just 11 trial signups. The cost of the lead was, it just didn't make sense for us at this time. And still, to this day, we are sponsoring podcasts. We are appearing as guests on different podcasts. And we're even considering starting our own one, because we do believe that the value of creating content on this channel is not just direct conversion into leads. Courses. That's also a very interesting thing in case any of you are considering launching a course as a marketing tool. We have another article on Ahrefs blog about this. And we did a course back in, I think it was 4 years ago. Upon launching it, we had 16,000 people signing up, which was pretty good. We then hid it under the paywall. And the only reason for that was for all these 16,000 people who started the course to finish it, like to give them a sense of urgency, because we didn't really want to make money with this course, although we could. And we also used it for giveaways, because if the course is no longer available, when you work with some partners and such, this is a great thing to give out to people, and it has quite a high value of $800. So there's a mistake on this slide. It should be 372,000 plays on Wistia. This is when we made the course free. So there was a point in the pandemic where companies with premium educational courses started opening them up for people to stay home, to learn new stuff. We joined that wave. We opened our course for free, and it got lots of views on Vista, and then we published it on YouTube, and it got lots of views on YouTube. Tracking all the value that we got from this course is basically impossible, because lots of people learned about our tool just from this course. And finally, Twitter itself. It is also a platform where you can publish content. But, as you might already know, social networks these days are quite greedy for clicks. There's a great article on SparkToro blog, written by Amanda Natividad, where she coins the term zero-click content, and where she suggests that to be successful on Twitter and to have large reach, you have to create content without trying to pull people to your website. Which is exactly what I did with this example. I published a thread about our product, 5 useful things you can do with the Ahrefs SEO toolbar. And this thread, which took me, I don't know, 30 to 40 minutes to write, got 16,000 impressions, which is pretty good, I think. But at the very end of the thread, there was a link to download the toolbar. And it got only 32 clicks. So, was that Twitter thread a waste of time with those measly 32 clicks? No, I absolutely don't think so. Content cannot not bring value if it gets traffic and talks about your product. Again, this is very important. This is how our marketing operates, basically. So I'll read it again. Content cannot not bring value if it gets traffic and talks about your product. So back to my Twitter thread. It got traffic. It's not website traffic, but it's traffic on the native platform. And it talked about our product. It was like specifically about our product, about the useful things you can do with it. That's enough for us to know that this piece of content was valuable. So as you can see, here at Ahrefs, we are not big fans of obsessing over marketing attribution. Our own marketing operates basically on common sense. And I'm very glad that we are not the only ones in the digital marketing space who think that attribution, in the words of Rand Fishkin, is a Bondugal. Actually, I only learned this word from this article, so I'm not even sure that I'm pronouncing it correctly. But yeah, if you focus too much on creating the content specifically for leads, conversions, and sales, you likely drop the ball on everything else that content can do for your company and for your business. So, how to create high ROI content if you're not measuring the ROI in the first place? Well, here's our process. For every content idea, we gauge 4 things. The total search traffic that we can get from this idea, the business potential, how much it promotes our product, the ranking difficulty, how hard it would be to rank at the top of the Google search results for that topic, and the efforts required to create this piece of content. So then, we also consider the so-called opportunity cost. So instead of writing a new article, maybe we can back to our blog archives and see some underperforming article that could use a little rewrite, and we would be okay. Or maybe we can find some old non-performing article, and we can spend less resources updating it rather than writing a completely new one. So this process is not very scientific. So in other words, we basically make bets. Yeah, we use some data to make those bets. They are educated bets, but they're still bets. And most of our bets actually play out. Because as of today, our company, Ahrefs, is $100 million in ARR. Over that, we have just about 100 people in our team, so you can tell we are incredibly efficient. And we didn't use any VC money to get there. We are completely bootstrapped, so it's not like we burned through tons of cash to get to where we are today. Thank you, thank you. Thank you. But most importantly, while getting there, we never measured the ROI of our content. We just did things that made sense, and it worked for us, as you can tell. And finally, I am Ukrainian. I lived there for most of my life, and even though for the past 7 years I've been living in Singapore, the war that is happening right now had an impact on me personally. I still have family there, I still have relatives, friends there. So we are incredibly grateful for all the support we received from European countries and from the rest of the world. And I believe that thanks to that support, we were able to turn the tides, and we're having some progress right now. So please continue your support for Ukraine, and I'm sure we can beat this motherfucker. Thank you.